Nibiru, the destroyer, is it returning? A crimson glow slowly appeared across the night sky, stretching like an ominous warning. At the Black Mesa Observatory, astronomers stood frozen as they watched the data on their screens. A massive, unidentified object was moving into the solar system at an unusual speed. Its trajectory was unlike any asteroid or comet ever recorded. But the most terrifying part, it was heading straight for Earth. Dr. Evelyn Kane, an exoplanet specialist, spent weeks rechecking the calculations. Her precise data led to a chilling discovery. The object's orbit matched ancient legends of Nibiru, a wandering planet said to bring chaos and destruction each time it returned near Earth. According to ancient Sumerian records, Nibiru's appearance was linked to catastrophic events like the Great Flood. While most scientists dismissed these tales as myth, Evelyn realized that modern science was beginning to confirm what the ancients had long warned about. The latest data indicated that on April 23rd, 2027, Nibiru would pass closer to Earth than ever before. If its gravitational pull was as strong as predicted, the consequences would be catastrophic: massive earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and even a reversal of Earth's magnetic poles. Yet, instead of warning the public, governments remained silent. Evelyn soon discovered why. An anonymous message from a source within NASA revealed the chilling truth. They know, but they don't want anyone to panic. Behind closed doors, world leaders had already convened emergency meetings. Their solution was to construct underground cities, secure sanctuaries for a select group of elites, while the rest of humanity would be left to face the devastation. Space agencies worldwide were ordered to suppress information. But Evelyn refused to stay silent. Teaming up with a group of dissenting scientists, she decided to expose the truth. Their findings and warnings spread rapidly across digital platforms, and within hours, the world erupted into fear and chaos. Despite the mounting evidence, officials continued to deny any danger, insisting the object was nothing more than a distant, harmless anomaly. As the fateful day approached, the Earth itself began to show signs of distress. The sky turned blood red as Nibiru's massive form became visible to the naked eye. Earthquakes shook cities worldwide. In Yellowstone, scientists reported alarming activity, signs that the supervolcano was awakening. Strange auroras danced across the sky, even in regions where they had never been seen before, signaling magnetic disturbances. On the night of April 23rd, 2027, the world held its breath. In a secret research station deep within the Andes Mountains, Evelyn and her team worked tirelessly to uncover any solution hidden within ancient texts. Some inscriptions hinted at an ancient method to weaken Nibiru's effects. But time was running out. As tremors shook the ground and an eerie red glow consumed the horizon, Evelyn gazed up at the colossal figure looming in the heavens. Nibiru the Destroyer, a harbinger of both the end and a new beginning. But Evelyn refused to accept humanity's doom. Somewhere, hidden in the knowledge lost to time, she believed there was still a way to prevent total annihilation. As the final tremor surged through the earth, she whispered to herself, "We still have hope." Does Nibiru truly exist? And if the destroyer has returned, can humanity survive? Nibiru, the Destroyer, is it returning? Part 2. Beneath the trembling earth, Evelyn Kane worked tirelessly. The research station deep in the Andes shook with every distant tremor, but she refused to stop. Scattered across the table were ancient Sumerian tablets and Babylonian scrolls, fragments of a forgotten past. She believed the answer to stopping Nibiru lay hidden within these texts. The clock was ticking, and Earth was running out of time. Professor Malik, her closest ally, burst into the room, his face pale. In his hands was a newly translated clay tablet. "Evelyn," he said breathlessly, "I've found something." The ancients described a machine, a celestial gate, designed to disrupt the gravitational force of Nibiru. Evelyn's heart pounded as she read the inscriptions. Thousands of years ago, a lost civilization faced the same threat. They built a device buried deep beneath Mount Kailash in Tibet, powered by an object called the Heart of Anu. If the machine could be reactivated, it might stabilize Earth's magnetic field and push Nibiru back into the void. "We need to find it," Evelyn said firmly. Within hours, she mobilized a covert team already stationed near Mount Kailash. As they descended into the ancient tunnels beneath the mountain, the world above fell into chaos. Earthquakes split cities apart. Tsunamis wiped out coastlines, and the skies burned with an eerie crimson glow. Nibiru was drawing closer, too close. The team's progress was slow and dangerous. Days passed before Evelyn received the message she had been waiting for. "We found the machine," a voice crackled through the failing communication line. "It's massive, but inert. We need the power source." The heart of Anu. Evelyn remembered another reference to it, an artifact buried beneath the ruins of Eridu, one of humanity's oldest cities. Without hesitation, she embarked on a treacherous journey across crumbling landscapes and panicked cities. Time was slipping away. After days of perilous travel, she reached Eridu. Deep within a hidden chamber, Evelyn found it, a glowing crystalline sphere pulsing with a golden light. The heart of Anu still lived. Carefully, she extracted the artifact and rushed back to Mount Kailash. The engineering team worked frantically to install the heart of Anu into the ancient machine. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a deep hum echoed through the chamber. The ground trembled, not from destruction, but from power. Slowly, the machine awakened, sending shockwaves through Earth's magnetic field. "It's working!" Malik's voice trembled with hope. "Nibiru's pull is weakening." Across the world, the effects were immediate. Earthquakes slowed, volcanic eruptions calmed, and the blood-red shadow of Nibiru began to recede. Bit by bit, the rogue planet drifted back into the depths of space. Humanity had survived, this time. As Evelyn rested against the cold stone wall, exhausted but triumphant, her eyes fell on one last inscription carved into the chamber's surface. "The destroyer will return when the stars align once more. This victory is only a pause, not an end." Evelyn knew the danger had passed, for now. But somewhere, in the endless dark of space, Nibiru the destroyer was waiting. And one day, it would return. Months after Nibiru's retreat, the world tried to rebuild, but the shadow of the destroyer never truly faded. Governments downplayed the event as a rare cosmic anomaly, but those who had witnessed the truth, like Evelyn Kane, knew better. Beneath the surface, a quiet panic spread through the scientific community. The celestial gate had worked, but the inscriptions left behind warned of Nibiru's inevitable return. At the Black Mesa Observatory, Evelyn poured herself into decoding the remaining ancient texts. She believed the key to permanently stopping Nibiru lay within the knowledge of the lost civilization, those who had faced the destroyer before. Yet many of the tablets were fragmented, their secrets buried under layers of time and dust. One evening, as the last light of day faded, an encrypted message arrived on her private terminal. It came from Oracle 17, an anonymous informant within a classified government program. The message contained chilling new data. Object Beta 9118, anomalous energy signature detected. Trajectory suggests Nibiru has altered its path. Return window, estimated within 13 years. Evelyn's heart sank. The machine beneath Mount Kailash had only delayed the inevitable. Nibiru wasn't drifting harmlessly into the void. It was circling back. This time, its return could be faster and deadlier. Determined to uncover more, Evelyn sought out Dr. Victor Lang, a disgraced astrophysicist once ridiculed for his theories on rogue planets. In a remote compound deep in the Siberian wilderness, Lang had continued his research in secret. Evelyn's arrival surprised him, but when she shared the new data, his skeptical demeanor faded. "I've seen this before," Lang muttered, leading her into a cavernous lab beneath his home. "There are signs. Gravitational disturbances. Something is pulling Nibiru back." He handed Evelyn a worn notebook. "This is all that remains of the Chronicles of Anshar, a lost record of the first civilization destroyed by Nibiru. They tried to break the cycle, but something stopped them." The ancient writings hinted at a second machine, the Lock of Enlil, a counterbalance to the Celestial Gate. It was rumored to exist in the Abyssal Rift, a sunken chasm deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Unlike the Kailash device, which pushed Nibiru away temporarily, the Lock of Enlil could sever the planet's connection to Earth forever, if they could find it. Evelyn knew this was their only chance. With Victor Lang's help, she assembled a covert expedition, a mix of scientists, ex-military operatives, and deep-sea explorers. Their goal: to locate and activate the lock before Nibiru returned. By the time they reached the Abyssal Rift, Earth's skies had begun to change again. Strange auroras flickered above the poles. Ocean tides surged unpredictably. It was as if the planet itself sensed the coming storm. Descending into the depths was treacherous. The pressure and darkness seemed to stretch endlessly. But after weeks of scanning the ocean floor, their submersible detected an unnatural structure, an enormous metallic obelisk, half buried in volcanic rock. It pulsed faintly with an otherworldly glow. "This must be it," Evelyn whispered, awe and fear mingling in her voice. Activating the Lock of Enlil required an energy source beyond anything known to modern science. But Evelyn had brought the Heart of Anu, the artifact that had saved Earth once before. As the crystalline sphere was placed into the obelisk's core, the machine roared to life. Far above, telescopes observed an impossible phenomenon. Nibiru's orbit was changing again. The invisible tether pulling it toward Earth began to weaken. But something else stirred. As the Lock of Enlil fully activated, seismic readings spiked across the Atlantic ridge. Evelyn's team barely escaped as the ancient machine's power destabilized the ocean floor, triggering massive underwater earthquakes. When they surfaced, the world was no longer the same. Nibiru had vanished from their instruments, its gravitational shadow erased. The immediate danger was gone. But Evelyn couldn't shake a lingering dread. The final inscription on the obelisk haunted her. "When the gate and the lock align, the watcher shall awaken." They had stopped Nibiru, but in doing so, had they awakened something far worse? Weeks after the Lock of Enlil was activated, the world seemed to return to normal. On the surface, earthquakes subsided, the strange auroras faded, and Nibiru was no longer visible in any astronomical survey. Governments quietly buried the incident, labeling it a cosmic anomaly, while the public, desperate for normalcy, quickly forgot. But Evelyn Kane knew better. Late one night, while analyzing residual energy patterns from the abyssal rift, Evelyn detected a strange signal, a frequency not of this Earth. It pulsed in a rhythmic pattern, unlike any natural phenomenon. At first, she thought it was an echo from the Lock of Enlil's activation, but as she isolated the signal, it became clear. It wasn't fading. It was growing stronger. Disturbed, Evelyn reached out to Victor Lang. When she shared the frequency with him, his face went pale. This isn't from Nibiru," he said, his voice trembling. "It's a transmission, and it's coming from inside the Earth." The signal was traced to a remote, uncharted region beneath Antarctica, where satellite imaging revealed something impossible, an enormous circular structure buried under 2 miles of ice. It wasn't natural. It was a doorway. Evelyn and Victor organized a secret expedition to investigate. With help from their underground network, they secured advanced drilling technology and assembled a team of specialists. Weeks later, beneath the frozen wasteland, they uncovered a colossal metallic archway, inscribed with the same symbols found on the Lock of Enlil and the Celestial Gate. But something else awaited them, something no one had predicted. As the team powered their equipment, the structure began to hum with an ancient, otherworldly energy. Suddenly, the archway activated, emitting a blinding white light. Before anyone could react, a shockwave swept through the chamber, knocking out their instruments and plunging them into silence. When the light faded, they were no longer alone. A figure stood at the heart of the archway, tall, humanoid, but not human. Its eyes glowed with a cold silver light, and its armor shimmered like liquid metal. Without speaking, it stepped forward. The air grew heavy with an overwhelming sense of power. Ancient, immeasurable, and terrifying. Victor fell back, his voice barely above a whisper. "The Watchers, they're real." The being raised one hand, and the air around them seemed to freeze. In an instant, images flooded Evelyn's mind, visions of Earth's past, of advanced civilizations long erased, and of the Watchers observing silently from the shadows. But the most chilling vision was of the future, Nibiru returning. But not alone. Something far worse lay beyond the void. And the Watchers were no longer content to remain hidden. The being finally spoke, its voice echoing in their minds. "You have broken the seal. The balance is undone. Now they are coming." Without another word, it vanished into the archway, leaving Evelyn and her team stunned and terrified. The doorway remained active, humming softly, an open gate to something far beyond human comprehension. Evelyn knew they had stopped Nibiru, but in doing so, they had awakened an ancient power. And whatever lay on the other side of the gate was already on its way. The true battle hadn't ended. It had only just begun. Days after the Antarctic Gate was opened, strange phenomena began to ripple across the globe. Auroras of unknown colors danced over cities far from the poles. Power grids flickered under unexplained electromagnetic surges. In remote corners of the world, ancient ruins long thought to be dormant began to hum with an eerie resonance. Something was waking up, and it wasn't just the Watchers. Evelyn Kane barely slept. She and Victor Lang worked around the clock, analyzing the residual energy from the Antarctic Gate. The signal was no longer localized, it was spreading, activating something buried deep beneath the Earth's crust. Worse still, the frequency was broadcasting outward, into deep space. One night, as Evelyn cross referenced the latest data with the ancient texts, a realization struck her like a bolt of lightning. The Loch of Enlil hadn't just pushed Nibiru away, it had called something else, an entity the ancients called the Harbinger. According to the recovered Sumerian fragments, the Harbinger was not a planet or a celestial object. It was a being, an intelligence that traveled between worlds, feeding on energy and enslaving entire civilizations. The Watchers weren't protecting us from Nibiru, Evelyn murmured, horror dawning. They were keeping the Harbinger out, and we just opened the door. Before she could process the full implications, an urgent message arrived from Oracle 17, her mysterious informant. The message was brief, but chilling. Object Alpha O1 detected. Massive energy signature. Approach vector Earth. Estimated arrival 72 hours. The Harbinger was already coming. Evelyn and Victor raced to the Antarctic Gate, where their research team was already detecting seismic anomalies across the region. Beneath the ice, something was stirring. As the gate pulsed with increasing intensity, a second portal, smaller but far more unstable, began to form next to the archway. Without warning, the smaller portal ripped open, and something crossed through. It was not like the Watcher they had seen before. This being was twice as tall, its form wreathed in shifting black armor that seemed to consume the light around it. Its eyes burned a deep blood red, and its very presence caused the air to crackle with barely contained energy. Victor stumbled back, terror twisting his face. "This isn't a Watcher," he gasped. "It's one of theirs." The creature extended a clawed hand toward the archway, and the symbols carved into the ancient structure began to change, rewriting themselves in a language no human had ever seen. The portal flared brighter, tearing wider as if preparing to welcome something larger. Desperation surged through Evelyn. She turned to Victor. "We have to shut it down, now, before the Harbinger arrives." Victor shook his head. "The Loch of Enlil is still active. If we sever the power wrong, we could destabilize Earth's magnetic field, or worse, rip open every gate like this across the planet." Evelyn's mind raced, searching for a solution. The only thing powerful enough to disrupt the gate was the heart of Anu. But using it again could destroy the delicate balance they had fought so hard to maintain. It was a gamble, but there was no other choice. Grabbing the glowing sphere from its containment case, Evelyn sprinted toward the unstable portal. The creature sensed her movement and turned, too late. With a cry of defiance, she slammed the heart of Anu into the control mechanism beneath the archway. A pulse of blinding golden light exploded outward. The creature shrieked, a sound that pierced the very fabric of reality, as its form disintegrated in the energy wave. The smaller portal collapsed instantly, but the main gate remained open. And from the other side, Evelyn glimpsed something moving, a vast, shadowed form with eyes like dying stars. The Harbinger had seen them. As the gate trembled and the ice cracked beneath their feet, Victor pulled Evelyn back. "We've only bought time," he said, his voice grim. "It knows we're here, and it's not going to stop until it reaches us." In the silence that followed, Evelyn realized the truth. They hadn't just awakened the Watchers. They had become part of a cosmic war, one far older and more dangerous than anything humanity had ever faced. And the final battle had only just begun. As the days passed, the world grew more unstable. Earthquakes shook major cities, magnetic fields fluctuated wildly, and the night sky burned with streaks of crimson light, a cosmic warning of what was coming. Evelyn Kane knew the truth no one else dared to speak. The Harbinger was getting closer. At Black Mesa Observatory, Evelyn and Victor Lang worked tirelessly to track the spreading anomaly. The Antarctic Gate still pulsed with energy, but something had changed. It was no longer broadcasting a simple signal. It was pulling power from the Earth itself, weakening the dimensional barriers. One evening, while scanning for new disturbances, Evelyn detected something terrifying. Beneath the Pacific Ocean, in the Mariana Trench, an unknown energy signature surged to life. It matched the readings from the Loch of Enlil, but stronger, more ancient. Victor's face turned pale as he processed the data. It's a second gate, but this one's already opening. Evelyn's breath caught. If a second portal was active, it wasn't just the Harbinger that was coming. The bound ones, the Harbinger's eternal servants, were stirring. And if they crossed over, Earth's defenses would fall in hours. The answer lay in the Watcher's warning. The only way to stop the invasion was to reassemble the Seal of Anu, an artifact shattered thousands of years ago, designed to lock the Harbinger outside reality. But the fragments were lost, buried in forgotten places no human had dared to explore. "We need to find the Black Vault," Evelyn said, determination burning in her voice. Legends claimed the vault held artifacts too dangerous for mortals, hidden somewhere deep in the Mariana Trench, and if the seal still existed, it would be there. Within hours, Evelyn and Victor assembled a covert team, ex-military divers, quantum physicists, and deep-sea specialists. Using stolen technology from black-budget government projects, they launched an expedition into the Abyssal Rift, the deepest, most uncharted region of the Mariana Trench. As their submersibles descended, the ocean grew darker and colder. Strange readings spiked on their instruments. The water itself seemed wrong, as if reality was twisting around the growing disturbance. At 36,000 feet, they found it. An enormous cyclopean structure buried beneath layers of volcanic rock. Its surface pulsed faintly with ancient inscriptions, symbols identical to those found on the Loch of Enlil. Victor's voice trembled. This isn't just a vault. It's a prison. Evelyn felt a chill creep up her spine. Something was stirring within. Something vast and angry. As they carefully excavated the entrance, a hidden chamber slid open. Inside, floating in a field of shimmering energy, lay 3 fragments of blackened crystal, pieces of the Seal of Anu. But the moment Evelyn touched the first shard, everything changed. A surge of unimaginable power tore through the chamber. Alarms blared as seismic waves rippled across the trench. From the darkness beyond, something moved, a vast, shadowed figure with burning eyes. Victor's voice rang through the comms. "They know we're here!" Evelyn clutched the fragment tighter. They had the first piece, but the Harbinger's army was already waking. And now it was coming for them. The race to save Earth had begun, but time was running out. As the ocean trembled around them, Evelyn knew they had crossed a line no one was meant to touch. The Black Vault was no mere repository, it was a last defense, and by opening it, they had triggered something far worse. The submersible's alarms blared louder as pressure spikes surged through the trench. Evelyn clutched the first fragment of the Seal of Anu, its surface burning cold in her hands. Victor struggled to stabilize the systems, while the rest of the team worked to retrieve the remaining shards. "We don't have much time," Victor shouted over the comms. "The energy surge is destabilizing the trench walls. We're going to be crushed." Evelyn ignored the rising panic. She knew the stakes. Without the seal, Earth was doomed. She reached for the second fragment, but the moment her fingers touched it, a deep, inhuman voice echoed through the water, vibrating through their minds. "The seal is broken. The bound ones awaken." From the darkness beyond their lights, shapes began to stir. Twisted, monstrous forms unlike anything human. Their silhouettes writhed as they crawled toward the vault, eyes glowing like dying embers. "They're coming!" one of the divers cried, panic rising in his voice. Evelyn seized the second fragment and signaled the team to pull back. The moment the shard left its containment field, the largest shadow moved. Fast! It slammed against the outer hull of one submersible, twisting the metal like paper. The screams of the pilot cut off as the pressure crushed the craft in seconds. Victor cursed under his breath. "We need to seal the vault before more of them break through." Evelyn's mind raced. The third fragment was still inside. Without it, the seal couldn't be reforged, but staying meant death. Yet if they left now, the Harbinger's forces would pour through unchecked. "I'm going back," Evelyn said, her voice cold with resolve. Before Victor could argue, she unlatched her harness and pushed through the narrow chamber. The last shard hovered in a column of swirling black mist. As she reached for it, the temperature plummeted, and a figure emerged from the shadows. A bound one, towering and skeletal, with claws sharp enough to tear steel. The creature reached toward her, its voice echoing inside her skull. "Mortal, you cannot stop what is coming." Evelyn's heart pounded. She grabbed the third fragment and spun toward the exit as the bound one lunged. At the last second, Victor activated an emergency containment field, trapping the creature inside the vault as the chamber slammed shut. "We've got the seal!" Evelyn gasped, collapsing into her seat. "Get us out of here!" As the submersibles rose toward the surface, the ocean churned violently below. But the fragments pulsed with power, a weapon against the Harbinger. And Evelyn knew the next step was clear. They had the pieces. Now they needed to rebuild the seal before the final gate opened. Because if they failed, Earth would be the next world to fall. As their submersibles pierced the ocean's surface, the sky above was no longer the same. Strange auroras of crimson and black swirled overhead, stretching across the horizon like open wounds in the heavens. Whatever Evelyn and her team had disturbed beneath the Mariana Trench, it was already bleeding into reality. On the deck of the research vessel Abyssion, Evelyn clutched the 3 seal fragments, their surfaces still pulsing with an eerie glow. Each shard hummed with raw, ancient power, but something was wrong. The fragments were incomplete. There was still a piece missing. Victor Lang emerged from the submersible, his face pale as he scanned the sky. "This isn't just an energy surge," he said grimly. "The dimensional barriers are thinning. If the Harbinger crosses through, there won't be a world left to save," Evelyn finished, her voice heavy with dread. The ship's communications officer called out from the bridge. "Dr. Kane, we're receiving a coded transmission from Oracle 17. Evelyn rushed to the console as the encrypted message decrypted itself before her eyes. "Fourth fragment located. Site Theta Tartarus Rift. Prepare for immediate retrieval." Victor's breath caught. "Tartarus Rift? That's in the exclusion zone. We're not authorized to go near it." Evelyn didn't hesitate. Authorization doesn't matter anymore. If we don't retrieve that final piece, nothing else will. The Tartarus Rift was a classified black site, a tier in reality hidden in the vast deserts of Central Asia, where failed experiments in quantum tunneling had opened a permanent scar between dimensions. The site had been sealed decades ago after researchers vanished without a trace. Within hours, their team was airborne, flying toward Site Theta in a stolen military stealth transport. The further they traveled, the more the world around them warped, as if reality itself was bending under unseen pressure. By nightfall, they reached the exclusion zone. What should have been an empty wasteland was instead alive. The air shimmered with fractured light, and massive black obelisks, twisted and unnatural, jutted from the earth, monuments to forces no human mind was meant to comprehend. "We're here," Victor said quietly, scanning the surface. "Whatever's down there, it's still active." Evelyn tightened her grip on the seal fragments. "We get in, retrieve the last piece, and get out, no mistakes." As their team descended into the rift's core, the ground trembled beneath their boots. Pulses of dark energy rippled through the air. In the heart of the chasm, they found it, a floating platform, carved from obsidian and pulsating with alien symbols. At its center hovered the 4th and final fragment, but something else was waiting. A shadow coalesced before the shard, an entity taller than any bound one they had seen. Its form flickered between dimensions, a jagged silhouette with eyes like burning voids. Evelyn's blood ran cold. The Harbinger's herald. The creature's voice echoed through their minds, low and thunderous. "The seal cannot bind us again. This world is already lost." Victor raised a disruption rifle, but Evelyn held up a hand. "Weapons won't work on it. We need the fragment. I'll go." Before anyone could protest, she stepped onto the platform. Each step sent shockwaves through her body as the air thickened with the weight of countless voices, the cries of worlds already consumed. As she reached for the shard, the herald lunged, its talons shimmering with destructive energy. But Evelyn was faster. She seized the fragment, and the platform collapsed in a cascade of brilliant light. The herald shrieked in fury as the shockwave hurled it back into the rift. Evelyn stumbled toward Victor, the complete seal of Anu now glowing in her hands, their only hope against the Harbinger. We have it, she gasped. Now let's finish this. As the rift sealed behind them, the earth fell silent, but Evelyn knew it wouldn't last. The final battle was coming, and this time, the fate of every world hung in the balance. As their transport soared away from the Tartarus rift, the world below trembled, an ominous sign that the dimensional barriers were nearing total collapse. Evelyn Kane held the reassembled seal of Anu tightly in her hands, feeling the raw energy coursing through the ancient artifact. But even with the seal whole again, a gnawing fear crept through her mind. Would it be enough to stop the Harbinger? Victor Lang broke the silence as he studied the energy readings. Evelyn, the seal is stabilizing, but the Antarctic gate, it's still expanding. If we don't act now, it won't just be the Harbinger. Everything imprisoned with it will break free. Evelyn nodded. There was no turning back. We need to return to Black Mesa Observatory and activate the seal. It's the only way to lock the gate before it's too late. But the Harbinger was not waiting. As they crossed the Pacific Ocean, the sky above split open. A massive tear in reality stretched across the heavens, revealing a churning void where shadowed figures twisted and writhed. The bound ones, creatures of destruction, were already pressing against the weakened veil. Alarms flared across the transport. "We've got company," one of the pilots shouted. Evelyn turned to see three dark forms emerge from the rift, hulking winged creatures radiating a sickly black glow. "They're trying to stop us," Victor said through gritted teeth. "We can't outrun them." Evelyn's mind raced. The seal was powerful, but it needed time to fully charge. Without protection, the Harbinger's minions would tear them from the sky before they could even reach the observatory. "Unless I can hold them off," Evelyn said. Before Victor could stop her, she grabbed the seal and sprinted to the rear cargo bay. She knew the risk, but if the seal could ward off the bound ones, it might give them enough time to escape. The bay doors slid open, exposing the howling winds and the chaos outside. Evelyn knelt, holding the seal aloft. Its surface flared with brilliant golden light, and the air grew thick with energy. The bound ones shrieked in rage as the seal's power struck them, forcing them back. But the strain on Evelyn's body was immense. She could feel the artifact pulling at her very life force to maintain the barrier. "We're almost there," Victor's voice echoed through her comm. Evelyn gritted her teeth, focusing everything she had on holding the seal's energy steady. One of the bound ones lunged, claws outstretched, but the seal flared brighter, sending a pulse of force that shattered the creature into black ash. The transport banked hard as Black Mesa Observatory came into view. The Antarctic gate loomed above it, an open wound of swirling darkness tearing into the sky. Victor's voice cut through the static. "Evelyn, we're landing! Get ready!" As the transport touched down, Evelyn staggered inside, clutching the seal. Every nerve in her body burned, but they had made it. Now came the hardest part, sealing the gate before the Harbinger itself could cross over. Inside the control chamber, Evelyn and Victor worked quickly, placing the seal into a quantum stabilizer. As the machinery whirred to life, the artifact began to pulse with increasing intensity, syncing with the gate's chaotic energy. "We only get one shot at this," Evelyn said, her hands trembling. "If we fail, we won't." Victor cut in, locking eyes with her. "We're finishing this." The gate convulsed as a massive silhouette pushed against the threshold. Even with the seal charging, the Harbinger's power was unimaginable. The walls trembled as its voice echoed through the chamber. "Fools! You cannot hold back the inevitable." Evelyn took a deep breath and activated the final sequence. The seal of Anu flared blindingly bright, and a cascade of golden energy erupted from the stabilizer, slamming into the gate. The Harbinger screamed, a sound that pierced through reality as the seal's power locked onto its form, dragging it back into the void. The earth shook violently, cracks spiderwebbing across the floor as the gate began to close. Victor shouted over the noise, "Evelyn, it's working!" But as the gate collapsed inward, the seal grew unstable. Sparks of energy surged across the console, and Evelyn realized the truth. The seal couldn't hold on its own. Someone had to bind it, permanently. Without hesitation, Evelyn placed her hand on the artifact. The energy coursed through her veins, connecting her directly to the fabric of reality itself. Pain racked her body, but she pushed forward. With a final surge of will, Evelyn channeled everything she had into the seal, locking the gate forever. The chamber fell silent. The gate was gone. The Harbinger was sealed away. Victor knelt beside her as she collapsed, her breath shallow. Evelyn, you did it. She smiled weakly. It's over for now. But as the dust settled and the world began to heal, Evelyn knew one thing for certain. The Harbinger would return. And next time, Earth might not be so lucky. As the echoes of the Harbinger's final cry fade into the void, one truth remains. This battle may be over, but the danger is far from gone. The Seal of Anu holds, for now, but forces beyond our understanding still stir in the shadows, waiting for their chance to return. What happens next? Will Evelyn and her team uncover the deeper mysteries hidden beneath the Earth? Or is something even darker already making its way to our world? If you're as hooked on this story as we are, make sure to hit that like button. Your support helps us bring more thrilling adventures and cosmic mysteries to life. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when the next chapter drops, because the Harbinger's influence isn't over yet, and the next revelation may change everything. Share this video with your friends and fellow mystery seekers, because these secrets are too big to keep to yourself. Who knows? The next clue might already be out there, waiting to be found. Thank you for joining us on this journey, but the story is far from over. Stay tuned, because what's coming next will shake the very foundation of reality.